new Texas petroleum industry, in my humble opinion. And it is really incredible, and I think we're back in the saddle again. All of the anecdotal evidence is there. If you go to corporate, they are now full again with corporate Learjets instead of Chevrolets. I'll make that comment in a little bit. The corporate jets are there. There's a waiting list to join the Petroleum Club in Midland, okay, in Odessa. And the TV show Dallas is back. Right? I mean, it's back. Maybe that's not a good anecdotal evidence there, but there is so much beyond that. New banks being built and new infrastructure, hotels, man camps. It's incredible in these areas to see what's going on. So indeed, I want to talk about that new industry, but I do want to give you the utility perspective. Our service territory is right in the throes, right in the middle of Eagle Ford and some other formations, and we'll talk a little bit about how this all affects us as a utility company. And of course, the technology is hydraulic fracking and the combination of horizontal drilling. It's those two things together that has really been the catalyst. The slide is really helpful because over on the far left you see the conventional type of drilling, you see the conventional type of gas well, oil well, generally straight down. In years past, we know where the formations go. We go pierce that formation, we extract the oil out, and that's what we've done. And then we go down a few quarter mile, half mile, and we go pierce it again somewhere else, and we draw it out there, and we just keep drawing out of that same reserve. Now, though, look directly to the right there, unconventional oil and gas. Now we have the ability to go very, very deep below the surface. Sometimes 9,000, 10,000, 12,000 feet below the surface. And when we get there, we get into these new formations, shale formations, that are oil and gas rich. And then we can go horizontal using the hydraulic fracking techniques to loosen the commodities. But we can go horizontally and go through that vein, so to speak, that shale formation, so to speak, extracting. Instead of just continuing to drill and going into the formation, now we can go horizontal. This is the catalyst for the industry. This is the AEP Texas service territory, and two of the most significant shale plays are overlaid on top of this. If you're not aware of our wires territory, we start up in Shamrock, Texas, approximately a little bit north of the Childress area, go right straight down through Abilene. We turn left and go to the Big Bend country. And then, of course, in South Texas, if you drew a line from Del Rio, probably all the way across to about Edna, Wharton, everything south of that is the southern part of the AEP Texas service territory. Now let's look, that's not as important as the shading area there. As we think about Texas North, we also show there the Permian Basin. Okay, see the blue shade there. And in our southernmost, we're in the southern part of that particular formation in our San Angelo district. Think about towns like Big Lake, Ira Ann. They've been the center for exploration and oil production for a long time. The Rankin area, that is in the San Angelo district, and that's the Permian Basin out there. Then we all know about Eagle Ford. You see Eagle Ford shaded there over our south part of our service territory. That's Texas Central, as we refer to it. And if you go north of Laredo, Carrizo Springs, Cotulla, Pleasanton, Dilley, those areas there, that is right in the thick of it. Also in the northern, what we call the Corpus Christi district, Kennedy, Karnes City, as this Eagle Ford goes northeast from there. So that's what we're talking about. But this is incomplete because there's one more that's being talked about. How many of you have heard about the Klein Shale formation? You're going to hear a lot more about that before it's all over. You may hear more about it than Eagle Ford eventually, and let me explain why. This is on the eastern flank of the Midland Basin. So if you take that Permian Basin shading and just go right east of that, and right west of Abilene, you see the Klein Shale coming up through here. We don't know for sure yet whether it will be in the AEP service territory or not. It's expected that it very likely will. Abilene, and then it will go right north. Anson, Aspermont, Spur, up toward Childress, right directly north. But that'll be on the far eastern side. Now, what's interesting about this, and I'll quote some things that the Abilene Reporter News in January said about this formation that they had done the research on from some experts. This is about 200 to 550 feet thick, the actual formation itself, about 9,250 feet below the surface. Remember, you saw the picture really deep. This is very thick though, 200 to 500 feet wide, running through this area. There's estimates that it has some 30 million barrels of oil in this formation. That's 50% more than Eagle Ford. The thickness of this particular formation is also the equivalent of 10 Eagle Ford shales stacked upon each other. So the truth is, this may be the biggest one yet as it really gets fired up. Man, I'm excited.